Happy Friday. It is our regular Lunch and Learn, so I'm so glad you're here with me. We're going to be talking today about innate versus acquired immunity. Now, your innate immunity is what your mama gave you, all right? It's what you're born with. So we've talked about this before, and we're going to link this with current day affairs, okay? So we got to be careful on the words we use because of all the censorship out there. So just bear with me as I try and find the right words for this. So when the grand design of everything, right, is that you would be born vaginally and you would breastfeed. When you're born vaginally, you have your first inoculation with probiotics, which helps stimulate an immune system. Now, an infant does not have an immune system that is working when they are born, okay? And so when they are born vaginally, when they breastfeed, there's some kind of communication between the mother and the baby's mouth that the nipple can sense what the baby needs, the mother's milk adjusts to supply what the baby needs, and so your innate immune system is developed from that. And it is also your DNA, of course. And so when we're looking at how do we protect ourselves from the assaults of everything that is out there, how do we do that? Well, one of the things that we don't want to ignore is our innate immune system. Now, we talked about a few weeks ago, I hope you were paying attention, or you go back and you look at these. We've got them on our BitChute channel. We've got them on our YouTube channel, as long as we don't get censored. And we also have them on our Facebook Live. So we always have it in 3 places. But we know that the scientists are saying that because of masks, because of people being indoors, because of isolation, our immunity is waning. That means it is getting less strong, it is getting less differentiated. So your immune system, your innate immune system is there. So when you come into contact with something that is not part of self, your immune system will trigger, you will start to make antibodies, you will start to have some kind of protection so that whatever has come into your field is not going to kill you. That's what your immune system is supposed to do. And so a lot of what we are hearing is that you need to have these medical interventions so that your immune system will be strong. And so today I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about your innate immune system. And I'm going to give you 2 or 3 references in the comments. One is from the CDC and one is from the National Vaccine Information Center. There's all kinds of resources there. There's all kinds of references there. So you can take this information and make the best decision for you and your family. So the title of this article is Natural Immunity, the Public Health's Forgotten Ally, so forgotten friend. So if you are paying any attention at all to our politicians, to our doctors, to things that are out there in social media that are not being censored, right? You're going to be getting the idea that you have to have medical intervention for you to be able to survive in this day and time. That is not the truth. Now, why is that not the truth? Well, we know here in Texas, that's where we are, that we had a contingent of politicians 100% fully vaccinated who left our great state of Texas and went to another state. Now, when they went, of course, no masks and all that kind of stuff, but they were fully vaccinated. Well, there have been several people that were in contact with them that have become ill with an infectious disease, and they themselves fully vaccinated. I think the last count I saw, 5 of them had come down with the very disease that they were vaccinated against. So that tells me and any other person that has critical thinking skills that these medical interventions are not all they are cracked up to be. So the scientists say that more than 95% of people who have recovered from the current situation have durable memories of the virus up to 8 months after infection. All right, symptoms do not have to be severe for protection to be strong. One study screened individuals who had recovered from a mild case of the virus and found that their immune cells not only persist, but continuously differentiated, right, in a coordinated fashion well into late convalescence. These antibodies were there 8 months after the sickness and disease. So that's really, really important, because I believe in intelligent design. I believe that God loves us, and God gave us everything that we needed in order to live in the world. This thing that we're going through right now is not a surprise to him. All right, it may be a surprise to us, but it was not a surprise to him. And so if we eat well, rest well, take care of our bodies, we don't have any of those comorbidities. We're not overweight. We don't have COPD. We don't have diabetes. We don't have cardiovascular events. We're going to sail through this time with no problem. Now, those people that do have those comorbidities, they're going to have more of a stressful time with that, because their innate immune system is not what it should be. So, just want you to know that there are things that we can do, and we need to rely on the fact that, number one, Jesus is the healer all the time, right? And so if we come into contact with sickness and disease, if our immune system is strong, we've got everything that we need in order to take care of that. And so that's basically what we want to talk about. This article goes on to say, researchers admit that there are big unknowns that have to do with the medical intervention. For example, the study that studied the effectiveness of this medical intervention did not look at the severity of reinfections from either of the immune methods, so your innate immunity or your acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is what you get. So your innate is what you're born with. Your acquired is what your body comes into contact with. So that could be a medical intervention. That could be, you just, like me, I was a little girl and I ate out of the dog's bowl. Now, is that something that we want you to do? No, it's not something we want you to do. But I got dog slobber and whatever else I got, that taught my body, oh, this is not self. We need to make an antibody against this, so that if you come in contact with that again, it's not going to make you sick, right? So that is your acquired immunity. So medical intervention is acquired immunity. So the studies did not look at reinfection and the severity of that reinfection. It is too soon to tell how natural immunity stacks up to protective promises of the medical intervention, because the illnesses that they guard against are still so new. Meanwhile, strong comparative data is lacking. Now, you will know, if you're doing any kind of research, if you're paying attention, right, that there is a doctor, Dr. Paul Offit, who is very, very pro-medical intervention, all right? And so he's saying in all of his videos and that kind of thing that if you don't have medical intervention, then you're not doing what you need to do, because that is the best way to go. So there was a critical study in 1984 that adds crucial detail that is missing from this doctor's story. This was published by the American Journal of Epidemiology. Researchers found that natural immunity of baby boomers played a substantial role in the elimination of measles. Now, a lot of times what you hear in the news is America does not have measles because everybody is vaccinated. Okay, that's what you're going to hear in the news. But I'm going to put in the comments this report that talks about the history of measles in this country. And so there is some study that says, it said, okay, so from 1985 to 1988, there were between 55 and 110 measles breakout every year. That's not very many measles breakout. Primarily in highly vaccinated school-age populations. Measles swept through a middle school in Texas where 99% of the students were vaccinated. And in Massachusetts, a high school with 98% vaccination rate. So this is telling us that even though we're 100% or close to 100% vaccinated, we're still, susceptible to measles. In 2017, a study revealed that in 2015, of the 194 measles case specimens collected and analyzed, 73 were deemed to be a vaccine strain. So what does that mean? Viruses mutate. All viruses mutate. And so when you get the wild variety, is a different genotype than what is in the vaccine. What's in the vaccine on the MMR particularly is a particular strain. And so they're finding that these people that are having measles in modern days are mostly having the vaccine strain, okay? And they are doing this, they're genotyping this. This was back in 2017 of the 2015 year, but they're doing it every year. It says that they're looking at trying to find out exactly how to modify the vaccine so it gets every genotype. Now, what I want you to know is that your natural immunity does differentiate. I think we talked about that last week or maybe the week before about how your antibodies, particularly your T cells, are changing based on what's coming into your body, and so they are adapting and they are modifying for the current variants. So this is important because if you look at your innate immunity and what your innate immunity is able to do, it is not only for the disease that you had, it will morph into something that has a greater reach, so it will protect you from the variants, which I think is very, very good because that's what's all in the news right now. What they're not necessarily telling you is that the D variant is appearing more and more in the people who have had the medical intervention. It's not appearing in the people who are just trusting in their own natural immunity. So that's what the news is saying. That's what everything. That's how all the data is shaking out. In a 2019 interview by Barbara Lowe Fisher, she is the co-founder and president of the National Vaccine Information Center. She says that stronger, longer-lasting natural immunity protection is what our elder generation carries that cannot necessarily be replaced by more medical intervention. Quote, "We never were vaccinated, but we are contributing to the concept of what it looks like vaccine-acquired herd immunity. When we die, you won't have that barrier anymore," Fisher said. Vaccine-acquired immunity is not the same as naturally acquired immunity. That has been the problem from the very beginning of the creation of the vaccines. They have never understood how to make a vaccine mimic the naturally acquired immunity exactly, all right? So that's part of the issue. One of the problems is that medical intervention may actually spread the disease. Oh, surprise, surprise. We just talked about that with our politicians that left the great state of Texas, and they were fully vaccinated and they spread the disease. It's all over Capitol Hill and that kind of thing, which is sad. I'm sorry about that. I don't want anybody to have the disease, okay? But if you keep your immune system strong, you're going to have that innate and maybe some acquired immunity too. I think I have some acquired immunity against it because right across my desk, right where I sit 5 days a week, people have come in and I absolutely know that they are infected. I absolutely know. Into my field, if I breathe something, suck something in when I'm talking, my immune system goes, hey, this does not belong to her. We need to take advantage of that. And so that's what we do. In 2019, the Associated Press reported that more polio cases in 4 African countries were now caused by the vaccine as opposed to the wild virus. All right, and you may not know this, but in the congressional record, I think it was 1963, 1964. It's been a long time since I looked at that, so I apologize. But in the congressional record, Jonas Salk went before Congress and said, my vaccine that I made for polio is doing more harm than good. I want you to pull it. They didn't pull it. We still have it today. But this is not news to people that are doing their research, because it's in the congressional record back in 1963, 1964. Another concern is that the vaccines may leave us more vulnerable to diseases other than the ones we get vaccinated against, all right? So we know that people that have a lot of vaccines, and we're talking about your regular childhood, everything that they want you to do, which I think now from age 0 to 18 is now like 78 different injections. That's a lot. When I was a little girl, I think we had 7. Right? So when you have adults who say, oh, well, I had medical intervention and I'm just fine. Well, yeah, you had 7. You're not getting 78. So there's a big, big difference. What is the difference? Well, the difference is there's thimerosal in the vaccine. There's formaldehyde in them. There's thimerosal in them. There's all kinds of things in them that are neurotoxins that do cross the blood-brain barrier. So we don't want to subject our children to that, and we don't want to be subjected ourselves to that. So virus interference, as it was called, was studied in a January 2020 issue of the journal, and the journal's name is Vaccine. The study explored viral interferences by comparing cases of viral respiratory infections among the Department of Defense personnel based on whether or not individuals received. You may not know that there are about 16 different coronaviruses that we have all over the place, okay? They're in the atmosphere. They've been around since 2003 for sure, and maybe even before that. Some of them are actually patented, so just FYI, you can't patent something that occurs in nature, so just kind of think on that with your critical thinking skills, okay? And so we do know, I mean, I have a son-in-law that used to receive the flu vaccine every year, and the last time he received it, he got the flu so badly, he transmitted it to the rest of his family, and he decided he was not going to do that again. Okay, and so we just need to know we need to be smart about the decisions that we're making. Meanwhile, natural immunity we develop from some diseases may give us protection from new diseases. A recent study published by the Journal of Infectious Diseases shows that the human rhinovirus, the cause of the common cold, triggers interferon response that blocks the SARS-CoV-2 replication. So just your regular, common, everyday cold will produce antibodies against the coronavirus. So this is really, really important because we call it the common cold for a reason. Why is that? Because it's common, because it's all around all the time. It's just endemic in the population. It's just something that we're all going to come up against. And so the study is finding that just having antibodies from a common cold will give you protection that you need against what's going on right now. It says mathematical simulations that show that virus-to-virus interaction is likely to have a population-wide effect in TV, social media, and all that kind of stuff is what the WHO says, the WHO, and what the CDC is saying, right? That's all you're hearing, and if that's all you're hearing, you think the medical profession is 100% sold on medical intervention. But, and we've talked about this before, there is the Great Barrington Declaration. This is a document written by infectious disease epidemiologists and public health scientists. They wrote this last year before there was any medical intervention available. This declaration proposed an end to the devastating lockdown measures that characterize the official public health position by giving natural immunity a chance to flourish. The proposal called for more protective measures among the vulnerable, while the vast majority could live as normal, developing the antibodies that could protect the population. Now, these people, let me see if I could find, it was 44,000 doctors and I think 14,000 public health officials, I think, if I I'm not able to put my eye on it right now and all the things that I have written on my paper. But they said the most compassionate approach balances the risks and benefits of reaching herd immunity. And this is to allow those at minimal risk of death to live their lives normally, to build up immunity to the virus through natural infection while better protecting those who are at highest risk. Okay, here it is. 44,000 medical practitioners, so that's doctors, nurses, and that kind of thing. More than 14,000 public health scientists. Okay, so this is really, really important. These are not just like random people out there. These are worldwide experts, and up until 2020, that's what the whole world believed. They believed back in the day when I was a little girl that whenever somebody got the chicken pox, somebody got the measles, all the people in the preschool, well, they didn't have preschool when I was a little girl. I'm just that old, right? But all the people in the community would get together and say, Johnny has whatever, we're going to have ice cream. Everybody that wants your kids to bypass this rite of passage, a childhood rite of passage, would come in, they would mix and mingle, they would get it, they would be whatever they were, and after that they would have lifelong immunity to those diseases. It was a rite of passage. Everybody got measles, everybody got chickenpox, everybody got mumps. That was just how it was. Now, if you were pregnant, of course you don't want to get rubella. Why is that? Because it causes birth defects. It can cause blindness in the baby, so we don't want to do that. But as a child, this is the way you develop your acquired immunity, by having these childhood infections. They're not detrimental. Even the current infection is not detrimental to young people, very young people, your children, anybody under 18. And what does that do? That enhances your acquired immunity. So there have been studies that show that if you had the measles, you are greatly protected. I think it's against uterine cancer, but maybe ovarian cancer, okay? It's one of those female cancers, that there is even a vaccine therapy using those viruses to combat that cancer. So cancer is pretty bad, right? I don't want anybody to have cancer. But if my immune system is challenged with lesser insult, we call it an insult, right? If my immune system is challenged, it builds and strengthens my immune system so that my immune system is going to be more apt to be on the lookout for anything that is rogue in the body. So we need to understand that when we're Purelling everything, we're keeping everybody away from everybody, we're not mixing our stuff, right? If you're talking to me and I'm talking to you, I'm hugging you, you're hugging me, we are exchanging bacteria, all right? Most of the time, our natural immunity is going to go, hey, this is something that doesn't belong here. Here's an antibody to capture it, to destroy it. Your lymph system's going to destroy it. You're going to go on your merry way. When your immune system is compromised, that's going to be more of a challenge. So I want us, all of us, I mean, I do natural antivirals every day, and I have since February 2020. Now, why do I do that? Because I am face-to-face with people all the time that have stuff. I mean, that's my job. I love my job. I mean, I love exactly what I do, but I don't want your mess to come on me, right? You don't want my mess to come on you. We just don't want that. So I protect myself by doing a natural antiviral every day. I don't wear a mask. I've never worn a mask. I'm not staying 6 feet away from people. I do ask people. We had a lady that came in to the clinic today. I haven't seen her in a long time. And I asked her, I said, are you huggable? She says, of course I'm huggable. So I hugged her. Well, then she tells me that she's got shingles. And I'm going, oh, well, here we are, because I've already hugged her. But I'm not worried about it. Why is that? Because I have strong natural immunity, and I make sure I'm not overweight. I don't have COPD. I don't have any cardiovascular event, and I don't have diabetes. Those are the 4 comorbidities. So my immune system is strong. I take supplements to enhance my immune system. I don't drink things I'm not supposed to. I don't eat things I'm not supposed to most of the time. I follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, I eat what I'm supposed to, something that's natural, that's healthy, that's not processed, right? I don't do pork. I don't do scavenger animals like shrimp and lobster, and I know I love those. They taste great, but they're scavengers. What do scavengers do? Scavengers eat trash, and if we are what we absorb, I don't want to be absorbing trash into my system. I just don't want to do that. I believe in divine health. I believe that God wants us to live healthy. I believe that Jesus died for us to live healthy. I mean, those are my core beliefs. But I also believe that I should take care of my temple and not put that nastiness in there if I want to live hale and hearty and be able to do what I do, okay? So, more than this, I'm going to leave you with this, okay? More than 99% of the people who tested positive for the current virus have survived, suggesting that the natural protection built against this virus could be enormous, all right? You will see if you check the statistics, okay? And not everybody is reporting the statistics correctly, and there's being some correction going on. That since we have had the medical intervention this year, the number of deaths due to medical intervention with antiviral therapies, okay, catch my drift, they have more than quadrupled over the past, every year for the past 10 years. I mean, we're having more and more jab-induced deaths than we ever had before, and not just by one or two, by several thousand. And so that's something that we need to consider, the risk-benefit ratio, if we're going to proceed down that path. I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's not my job. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a holistic practitioner. We look at the body as a whole. We try and educate the public on what can you do in order to keep you and your family safe. So I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you've learned something from this. I'm going to put those two research papers in the comments so you can do your own research. There's tons of links there that you can go through. I do want you to read the Great Barrington Declaration, because 44,000 medical doctors from around the world have said, let's go and do this protective intervention rather than the lockdowns and that kind of thing. So do your own research, make the choice that's best for you and your family. So I'm going to leave you with that. It is the weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Be good to yourself. Take care of yourself. Know that we love you, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.